Welcome to the Next Play podcast, where we're focusing on overcoming mistakes in life and in athletics. We have a special guest today. We are continuing the military and athletics series. Now, the gentleman we have on today has not only been in the military, he has also been involved with SWAT teams and drug enforcement, and we'll let him tell his story a little bit. So I'm real excited about having David Oboyle with us. David, did I get the name right?
Yeah, you did outstanding, sir. Great job.
All right, great. If you're just listening to this, you don't see David's a pretty big dude. David and I work out together, not together. We just work out at the same time at work at any time. And he does the big man weights. He does the cross, all that stuff, while I'm on my little 5-pound dumbbells and doing the old man stuff. So anyway, David, great to have you here today. So your background, David was in Special Forces in the Air Force. Let's start there, if that's okay.
Yeah,
if we can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you, and I always refer to you as coach. A long time ago, you coached my son in the clinic, so I'll always be thankful for some of the discipline you helped me instill into him. So I want to say, first of all, thank you for your commitment. Yeah, you know, I guess my career was it had a sort of I had no idea where I was going. Graduated high school, and I'll just be very humble and upfront. My parents, great people, good workers, raised me right, but just didn't have the means to send me to college. I did have a scholarship to EKU for football, but I just wasn't comfortable there. And I wanted to honestly just go serve my country. I listened to my papa tell the stories, my dad tell the stories.
So your dad and they were both in the Army, correct? If I remember, or they were both in the service. Were they Air Force
yes,
too?
Sir. No, sir. My papa was Army. My other papa was Marines. And my dad was Navy. So I thought I would try to add a little mix to it. And so yeah.
So you had some adversity there where you're leaving college,
yeah,
and you're like, hey, I want to go to the military.
Yeah.
So that's now tell us about the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people don't realize the Air Force has the special ops units. You know, all the Army Rangers and the Navy SEALs, those guys get sometimes the glory, but you Special Forces guys, I've met a couple of you. Y'all are out there too. So what's a special force guy in the Air Force?
Yeah. Well, first of all, like I said, you know, much respect. I've listened to your other podcasts, and man, hoorah to those guys. I've worked with some of the Rangers. We used to work again with just other special ops teams, but good folks who taught me a lot. But our role is what you call combat control. Our jobs, we got assigned basically to a fighter squadron. I was assigned to the F-15 Strike Eagle. And but our job was to basically, wherever they got deployed, we would go set up air base.
What's a 15 Strike Eagle? What is that now?
It's basically an F-16 with an extra tail wing. And gotcha. So it looks like the singular F-16 component, but it's got like two fixed mounted tail wings on it. So awesome bird. I also got assigned to the A-10 Warthogs unit. So F-16s as well. But wherever those aircraft went, we would get deployed to go up and set up all of the security parameters. In the unfortunate event, if one of those were shot down, our mission was to load up on an H-860 and go out and provide not only security but rescue that pilot.
Now, is that a helicopter or what is that? What's an
H-860? It's sort of a troop tactical helicopter, if you will. That could carry some personnel, but my job at that time was the 60 gunner. I had my little window, if you will, and I was to provide security for the rescue personnel.
Wow. So, you know, what's interesting, one thing about this series to me, you're the last. Now I'm going to post yours first, but this general is going to be last. And all of you had talked about things that I have no clue about, like all these numbers, and they're so natural to you, but Like to me, I'm like, I don't know what an A whatever is, and the gun. I mean, it's just fascinating to hear that. All right, so you got to learn. You had to learn how to basically shoot this massive gun from an airplane.
Yeah,
right?
well, let me go back. Part of our initial training, after your basic training, and you get sent off to your AIT or your tech school or the school that you go learn to do your job. About 7 of us got pulled away, and we had to go to weapons schools. And trust me, Coach, I didn't know about them much either, other than the hunting rifles we had back home. But I was into that. And so they sent us to handgun school, M60 school, M203 school, grenade launcher school. You name the weapon, they sent us to a school. Because we had to be pretty sharp and proficient, just in case, we had to mix and match or in any wartime scenario. You got to be.
But I would imagine shooting from a helicopter. Yeah. And if you're shooting at something, there's probably maybe something shooting back at you in a way. I mean, that's pretty.
Yeah. It's there was some situations where you just tactfully lay down cover fire, but I tell you, Coach.
And one of the things, David, you're a very humble guy. And so to the listeners, David's incredibly humble. And so, but that's pretty cool that you're.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, in those times, you don't really think about the what ifs. Yeah. One of the things I even carry to this very day is one of the things that we were taught is you fight how you train. And you train hard, you're going to fight hard. You train weak, you're going to fight weak. And that's just a mantra that goes with me to this very moment.
And I really think the military guys, and you talk about application to athletics. I mean, that's it right there. Yes. What you said, you train hard. I mean, you're training where you don't think in the moment. That's sure. And I think that's the absolute key in athletics, don't you? Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Oh, trust me. Yeah. It is a life code. I believe carries over, not just over into your family, and your work life, but even when I still go to the gym, it's still that mentality of, look, if I come in here and just, train weak, then that's the way that's going to be my result. So,
which is why everyone in workout anytime when David walks in, everybody asks him what machines he wants, and everybody just clears out. We don't want to get in the way. All right, all right. So you get out of the Air Force, and you serve our country for how many years?
I did 8. Yes, sir.
8. Yeah. And so then you decide, and then you move on to what's next from there.
Yeah. So actually, I came here to Cleveland, Tennessee. Met my wife at Lee College, and so I met her, and I guess just to speed it up, long story short, highly interested in law enforcement. Sort of a mantra that most military people have, because it's sort of dual purpose. It mirrors some of that discipline and just all the stuff around it. But I was very blessed. I did get in local law enforcement, and I did that for another 8 years. And I started out as your regular patrol. Then I moved over to canine. Then I moved up to narcotics. Then and that whole time, I used to watch some of the SWAT team with Chattanooga, and just again, pretty motivated fella. I thought, man, not only could I do that, it's just very competitive, and I enjoyed and missed that camaraderie. That tactical community camaraderie.
You mean the teamwork, the
commitment. And the workouts too. I mean, it's they're probably one of the few units that actually had a regiment with regards to physical training and just the whole arena that was still still within the scheme of who I was.
Yeah. So you Special Forces guys, I think y'all are wired a little bit differently, where you want hard, you want, like this one guy interview said, I was just looking for the hardest thing I could find.
I
mean, I don't think the average person does that. I mean, so with SWAT, what's the training like with SWAT compared to the military? Did they give you a special pass because you'd already been in Special Forces? Did they?
No,
I guess it's completely different. It's a complete different.
No, no, I would say it's actually once they do find out your background, I didn't want them to know because I think you get challenged more with regards to not just the physical side of it, but the mental side of it. Getting put in those situations where you've got to make decisions in 1 to 5 seconds that most people have minutes to hours to review and contemplate and make decisions. But they knew, of course, it was on my interview, but yeah, everything was the same. I didn't want to get treated. And if I would have, I probably would have backed out because that would have told me a little bit about, the way the structure was, but no, it was just as hard. It was about an 8-week tryout over a period of time, several interviews. I had to go to weapons demonstrations, had to pass several PTs, had to go interview with, again, several leaders in the chain of command. And then you go and demonstrate your abilities. And then the team comes together and votes. Do they want this guy, on their team? So the team votes, and so
so it's up to the team, is what you're saying.
100%.
That's fascinating.
It's not the sheriff's vote. It's not the county commission's vote. It's that team who decides, and
so once you're on the team, you get to vote the new members.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
How so? Like percentage wise, how does that work? Like did you guys turn down a lot of people? I guess. This is phenomenal. Why would you accept someone or turn someone down? I guess would be the.
Yeah. So when we was trying out, there was 2 openings and there was 9 of us that was trying out. And so
7 guys don't make it.
Yeah, 7 guys don't make it. But the cool thing is they are coached up on the why. They're coached up on maybe what was missing mentally, what was missing physically, and they get more opportunities, and the ones that still continue to do their law enforcement job, but yet go and spend that time at the gym afterwards, or go and do whatever it takes to sharpen up their skills tactfully or mentally or physically. When those show back up, that's the ones you want that didn't give up.
Now, what's the age typically of guys in SWAT? Is it, I'm assuming, we're probably about the same age. I'm probably a little old to go try this, I would think.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, no, it's open to, there's no age restriction. I can tell you, on our team, we had a 12 man response team. The eldest member, if you will, with all due respect, he was 52, and
wow.
And he was our sergeant, and much respect, man.
Yeah, you've told me some story. You said he's still one of the toughest dudes.
He's still there, and so it's it just, again, it's that good old adage of age is just a number, but if it just comes down, hey, not you take care of yourself, but if God has blessed you with those abilities and to keep going, and while you're breathing, you keep going, and if you enjoy it, you stay in it. And we was assigned to that, and then
what are some of, I'm sorry, my wife tells me I need to not interrupt people, but so some of the mental pieces of this, though, what were some things you would tell people, like to say, what were some of the mental examples of why they wouldn't make it, I guess?
Well, I think it's the very standard reason of why is really attitude. When we would see anybody who was winning or ahead, but then when they would finish and not go back and pick up their team, or their attitude was they were more concerned about going and getting themselves water instead of going back and picking up their teammates. It was little things like that personally, if I had a vote on that, I look for attitude.
Yeah.
I didn't really care how many push-up, pull-ups, how much mile you can run, or, how good your grouping was at the range. I really look for attitude.
Yeah. And what kind of teammate they would be, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. And again, and I think and that's what carried over with me was, it's not the biggest and the baddest, man. It's the ones who got it's right here in that heart. It's up here in that mind, and it's that attitude thing. And so if your attitude was right, and you had a good teamwork mantra about you, it just comes out. It just comes out, man. And so that's, again, that's the way I was even raised, Coach. I was even raised that way of completing my chores and taking care of things on our little farm. And I was raised, if you don't work, you don't eat. And so, it was those little things in life that just showed me to be appreciative for everything I got. And God gives you an opportunity, you make the best of it. So attitude's everything to me.
What about did you put guys in, was it male and female, I'm assuming, right?
At that time, we didn't have any females. We did try out a few. And again, I'll be very straight with you. Just some of the physical parts of it. They just couldn't meet our demands. But as of right now, they're, because I still work out with some of them, still keep up with them. They have 2 on the team now that, it's pretty impressive, man. It's pretty impressive.
I bet. So did you guys have a system where failure was a part? And so I've got this whole deal. What is failure? Failure is, redefining. Failure is not trying. Failure is being scared to try, making mistakes is not failure. So did you put them in situations where they would make mistakes to see how they would respond?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And 80% of everybody that was on that team was some form of branch of military. So, we understood the fact that, for sure, you're going to be putting in, whether it's search warrants or whether it's hostage situations or whether it's, there's so many scenarios we could go through, but when your efforts fail, what do you do? And so we had always tried to teach them that, there's really no such thing as failure. It's an opportunity to have a lesson. So,
what advice would you give to people on doing that, on teaching that, or like maybe an example in your own life where you've had to overcome mistakes, those kind of things?
Again, I think I'm going to go back to attitude. That's such an important word to me. And I was just speaking at a conference Friday to a bunch of leaders, and again, attitude. I let them know real quick that there's no bad teams. There's only bad leaders. And so if your team sucks, if your team is failing, it's because you are. And so you need to take a hard look and go back and evaluate yourself before you critique the team. And so my advice to folks who are in situations where there's failure in their life, first of all, just again, evaluate your attitude about it. Is it really failure, man? Is it really? Or is it something that you have an opportunity to learn from, get better, and press on with life? So we could do another hour on that, but
I keep going though. That is such great stuff. Like maybe even example. I mean, that's beautiful. It really is. Is it really failure? Are you real? I love that.
And
because I don't you think that one of the huge issues with society and especially young people is they're just scared to try, and they're scared to try, and so it comes across as like they have a bad attitude. But it's just impossible. I mean, excuse me, not impossible, but it's just they're so scared to leave it all out there because what if it doesn't work? And there's also this culture of young people of if you try hard, they even call them tryhards. He's a tryhard. And you with a 16-year-old, how I'm sure any thoughts on that? I mean, how do we deal with that as a society and leaders and teaching people?
Well, having I've got a 22-year-old. He crossed that out of the Marine Corps not too long ago, and you've met my sons at the gym, and he's doing great. He's actually a paramedic now, and he's trying out for SWAT as we speak. And he's trying to go for SWAT medic. And but my 16-year-old, I tell you, I let him know always. That's a good one, man. I want my son to, first of all, always in my life, I wanted him always number one, see God first.
Yeah.
I want him to know that in any situation I get into, I don't turn to me. I turn to God first. He's my source. He's my strength. He's my advice. He's my wise counsel. I want him to see that first. Secondly, when I do get in those situations that life can hand out to you, not only do I want him seeing the spiritual side, I want him seeing that my attitude is always want to be an attitude of gratitude first. Count your blessings, but here's the situation we got. Where's the opportunities? And there's an opportunity even in failure. Always find the opportunities even in failure, man. And so that's what I'm trying to teach him, that look, life ain't easy. It ain't easy, man. And but if you always keep God first and accept failure as an opportunity, that's that warrior mentality, that I love you about. And that's what I'm trying to teach him now is be different, have a warrior mentality, keep God first, and always have the right attitude, even in failure. And you'll have a God-blessed, successful life.
And teaching that and just getting over what your peers think of you and trying hard. I mean, why is giving it everything you have to be the best you can at something, why is that negative, right? I don't know. It really does break my heart. So which was harder, being the special force piece or a part of the SWAT team? What was mentally tougher, I guess, for you?
Well, I would definitely go back to the onset of the beginning of my life, which was, my military career. Man, even though you think you're prepared, that first night of basic training, and, you're like, man, I ain't Kansas anymore. And all this stuff's happening. You're under stress. You're contemplating, did I do the right thing? But that's the way it's supposed to be. It's like 2.5 years of constant training, and you're like, man, when am I just going to go do a job and go, so I would definitely say the hardest part was getting it all going. But once you get into a battle rhythm, this is the way it is, and you trained your mind, you trained your body, you've trained your soul.
And you did a couple tours too, right? I probably we should have talked about that. Now, where your tour you went to?
We did. We was over in Kuwait. We jump over to Saudi. Then I tell you, everywhere we landed, it was just desert. I didn't know where we was at times, but yes, sir, Kuwait, Saudi, and then we did some time at a couple of camps in Afghanistan, and then you was just constantly cycling out depending on where aircraft were going.
Wow. Now, my Army Ranger friend, or two of them, they both said one of the hardest things for them was doing all this training and not knowing if they were going to be in combat. He's like, it's like training for an athletic contest that you never get to play in.
Sure.
They said that was the toughest piece. I imagine with the SWAT team, you knew you were going, whereas in the military, that may be.
You was always, you had that on call constantly. You'd have the alerts and the call outs, but moving over into law enforcement, and then you get on SWAT. Especially when you work, there's just so many situations that's happening, whether it's narcotics, hostage, or domestic situations, barricade situations. I'd be sitting in the middle of a church, and I guess we still call it a beeper. Beeper goes off, and you're like, dang, but I never really said that gum, and I was like, oh yeah. You feel like you hate the situation. They're 99% of them are sad, break your heart stuff. I taught DARE. I taught DARE for 2 years, and there were some cases where we would go into the home, search warrant, and I would look over, and it was one of my DARE kids sitting there, but of course we're all masked up. And
now, what is that? DARE is drugs. What's that?
Drug abuse resistance education. Used to be the DARE program that was pretty popular. A lot of things, but I would. But you feel like you get a chance to exercise and put to test what I've been putting my body and my mind through.
And there's got to be an adrenaline rush with that too in both sides. I would think.
Sure.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking, yeah.
It's being a big deer hunter. It's the same thing as if that 12 point comes walking in front of you. It's
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's but it's got a lot of emotions, but
yeah.
You learn to keep all that in check and do your job, take care, watch your brother, watch your sister, and get the mission done. So it's all the same heartbeat, man. Get the mission done. Every one of your teammates get backs in that vehicle. Y'all fist bump each other, mission done, and you go back home and get with the family. So,
all right, last question here, or actually two more questions. So how do you turn it off? Like all that training, like now you're in, explain to us what you're doing now. I guess I know you're working with different law enforcement with drugs and narcotics.
So I do accident investigations now. Everything's the very hard tactical side of my life has calmed down. I'm 52 years old, and I still feel young, but all my career I've calmed it down. I do accident investigations now with with certain agencies, and so. Yeah, I mean, you really don't turn it off, Coach. You're always in a tactful mindset.
Yeah.
And so even though it's
you don't have bullets flying at you now, though, right? That's
no, sir. No, sir. No, I still probably get cussed at a little bit, but I don't get shot at. So,
awesome.
but I just, like I says, man, I just try to take care of this, and through my devotions and my time with the Lord, and He comes first, and like I said, try to live life while you can, love it, hit the gym, and take care of your family and those around you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Workout Anytime should give us some money for this episode because we give them props.
Yeah, we're going to talk to Rico when we get back.
Yeah, he needs to. Yeah, I haven't seen Ryan in 2 years. He's just making money every month.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, Dave, thanks so much. What is your next play? What is next for you? How long do you think you'll be doing this? And obviously God's in control, but
where do you
see
man,
yourself in 5-10 years?
You know what? Same right now, maintain. Right now, just maintain where He has me. And I don't stop learning. I still take a lot of courses. I still go to conferences, and man, never stop learning. I never stop learning. And I prepare myself as there may be that other awesome opportunity, but I'm not seeking it. I'm happy where he's planting my feet right now.
Beautiful. Well, David, this was unreal, and we'll promise us you'll come back again sometime. And,
absolutely, sir.
We appreciate it, and thank you for all you've done for our community and country.
So, roger that, sir. God bless you. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you so much.